Today we'll be replacing the starter on a 2016 Honda CRV. First thing I wanted to do is figure out was the battery, because I had just drove this car from my home to the gym. So so it crunked when I left my house. And the alternator actually was charging the batteries, but when I got to the gym, I noticed when I pressed the start button, it clicked. So after doing the battery test, right here, you're going to see that the battery was good. So then I waited a minute when I was at the gym and I pushed it again and it started. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, this could be the starter. Because remember, the alternator charged the battery and my drive was roughly 20 miles. So here, the first thing we're going to do in replacing the starter, we're going to disconnect the negative terminal. You know, a lot of people say negative, positive. It was a theory that the negative is actually the positive because the negative completes the circuit. And I actually wedged it out the way so it has no way that it could actually hit the battery and arc. So you want to make sure that there's no power going to this as you go to the starter. Now I noticed that the easiest way to replace the starter on this Honda was actually to take off the spare tire, come through, and you're going to see there's a top bolt. At first, I was like, man, why is that top bolt hanging out? But apparently, Honda makes these bolts where they're actually long because they realize that the starter is located in a hard spot. So they make the bolt longer so you can get to it. And here's the lower starter boat. And this is actually what I used. I used the pretty much the longest extension with a 14 millimeter swivel on it. And here I have a step down from a half inch to a 3/8. And here's the two bolts. They actually were removed. And here is the new starter. Here. And here is where the power wire goes. And here's where the signal wire goes. So actually I got the old starter out and the new starter out. And you're only going to use like 3 tools for this. That's a 10 millimeter to take off the starter nut. That is the 14. And here you have the wire cable, or the wire bracket that actually holds the starter wire. And here we actually got to remove this from the old starter. So we take our 10 millimeter and our 1/4 inch impact. I'm going to actually have to put this down because I have to hold the starter with my other hand. And then you can see that we're actually recording this. I think all my videos are like a point of view or a first person shooter. So here we go. We hold it down. We take the 10 millimeter and we take the bolt out like so. And we take the bracket out to hold the wire and actually bolt it to the new starter like so. Now this right here would be the difference between a shade tree mechanic and a professional mechanic, because a lot of mechanics will actually leave this bolt and this wiring harness bracket off because it's really not necessary to actually put it back on. But like when you're working as a professional, you want it to be exactly the way it came in factory. Like you don't want people to be able to identify if the starter was replaced because you want it to look OEM original. So here we go. We go right back in with the other starter. I actually have to put the starter in underneath, but like I said, because our videos are POV, point of view, I wasn't able to actually record a good video doing that. So as I place the starter back in, and I actually put both of the bolts in from underneath the vehicle, but it's easier to tighten and get a good torque on the vehicle coming from the passenger tire. And here it is, top bolt. Top bolt, like I said, it's a little complicated, but when you got as much extension as I have on it, it makes it easier. But note, when you have a lot of extensions on it, it lowers your torque. So what I actually did, and I don't like, well, just to make sure it was tight. I can't say I wouldn't necessarily recommend that, but just to make sure it was tight, I actually came back and took that same half-inch impact and just slightly bumped it to make sure it was tight. And then I came after that and I took a ratchet to make sure it was good and tight. My torch specs. As they say, what was the Germans' torch specs? It's good and tight. Good and tight. Here he is, pretty much done with this job at this point. Yeah, and trying to use car down. We're going to have some how-tos, some do-it-yourselves, and we're going to have, like I said before, cop it or drop it. And this bolt is almost tight. And then we come back on. We connect the battery terminal again, like so. We come back, bump it with the 10 millimeter, make sure it's snug. And there you go, wiggle it. And also, a lot of times when your car cranks intermediately, your battery cables are not tight. Or your terminals, or some people get those cheap terminals, and those terminals suck. But here we go. We are going to do our starting test. And fires on the first time. I think I started it 3 times in a row just to make sure that we were good, and we are good. Again, I want you guys to like and subscribe, and forgive me for the Blair Witch view of the camera, but work in progress. And there we go. We have everything loaded and ready to go. And this job's just about complete. Thank you guys for watching. And please like and subscribe to Twan, the used car